What's up, Epic 7? Ancient Inheritance starts soon for most servers. And what units should you enlist? That's the big question of the hour, right? It depends on the element you chose, but I've made two tier lists for you. Okay, they're not really tier lists, they're more groupings because we can't really tier list this or we'd be here forever. First list is going to be going over the units that are going to be used for your primary fight, your boss fights. Now, you don't need all of the units on this list. You just need enough to be able to handle two fights. If you are on the light team, that means you're killing the Dark Prongo. Landy, Camilla, Savior Auden, and Ambitious Tywin is one of the highest scoring teams out there. You definitely want these units for your team. If you do not have these four units, I recommend you don't go on the light team. Pick another element, something else you're solid for. The second team for the Light Warden, good team would be Conqueror Lilius, Little Queen Charlotte, Infinite Horizon Acades, and Captain Rickarus. You could sub in another DPS like Commander Pavel. You could also sub Infinite Horizon Acades out for Ruel, though Acades is a little bit cleaner. Though Ruel does give you that safety net of resurrection. These are your two boss teams because you can only fight Prongo twice per day, unless you pick up that relic that lets you do it more than once. This will give you really good coverage and you should be able to burst significant damage into Dark Prongo with these two teams. For the Dark team, the highest scoring team to date has been Mediator Queric and Inos 2.0. Inos non-specially changed works just as well, not just as well, but works okay. Lone Crescent Bologna and Commander Lorena. Unlike Inos, Lorena does need her specialty change done, however. This is the highest scoring team for killing the light Prongo. With Dark units, a second team that does very well, Sea Phantom Politis, Remnant Violet, Kitty Clarissa, and Assassin Sid. For defense breakers, we've substituted Assassin Sid for Sinful Angelica. That works great, gives you an additional source of cleansing. But Sid's defense breaks are pretty nice. You can also run RB as a good solid damage dealer. Now for the Earth, Water, and Fire Wardens. Remember, Wardens turn off passives, so don't pick units that rely heavily on passives. You'll notice you don't see Arya anywhere on these teams. You will never get to use her Murder Penguin. So, Asaria is really good for resetting and being a solid defense breaker. Zahak and the recently buffed Charles are both solid DPS bringers. You've got Defense Breaker here with Lilka, and Destina is a solid healer. If you have 8 of these units, you're going to be able to chew through the Water Warden pretty easily. As for Fire, Mascot Hazel is probably the strongest frontline Soul Weaver in the game because of all of the boosts and buffs she gives you when you have a mono Fire Elemental team. But don't count Tamarin out as well for dual attacks, cleanses, pushes, basically everything that Tamarin does. Ken for his dual attacks, Cirilla for non-stop defense breaks, same with Ball and Cezanne for his defense breaks and also damage. Haste is loaded with defense breaks and has healing skills on his S2. He can inflict Vampirism, and as a mage, he can run Bloody Rose to give you an additional source of healing for your team. Zealot Carmen Rose, a lot of people forget that she has a built-in lifesteal on her S1, so she can heal herself through her S1. And don't forget the dual attacks and cleanses of Lilius. All the units on this team are fantastic. If you take Ken, make sure you've got his number 2 exclusive equipment for the dual attacks though. For an ice team, we've got Brieg. I mean, what a surprise. Brieg is insane for this PvE too. Brieg, Rand, Corinne, Elena is a solid way to kill the Earth Warden. Just these 4 units. Luna, Lulika, Sigrid, Cerise, Riza Hawkeye is another solid team. If you don't have Riza Hawkeye, that's fine. You could slap Amelia on there. Remember, the Warden team's healing starts to work less and less as you progress, though, so keep that in mind. Summer Break Charlotte on her dual attacks. She's got built-in defense breaks. Solid unit to have on the team. All of these units work really good, and having at least one solid grouping these teams will really help you do your job against the Fire Warden. Remember, your job is killing wardens or killing prongos. You want to have the tools to get that done. Now, in order to do your job, you'll need to level the element. And in order to level your elements, you're going to need units that can 1 or 2 man clear fights. So that brings me to my second list. Here are the farming units for farming the normal mob. Now, most of these can solo fights as long as you don't get too far over your head attacking something higher level than you are. Remember, rule of thumb with normal mobs is stick to one level lower than yourself or the same level. If you're going to solo, if you're going to go one level higher, you might want to consider two-manning unless you're sure. But also remember that if you're fighting one level lower, you kind of are wasting XP. I mean, you definitely will one-man clear it, but you probably could have left that for lower level people in your guild who are still climbing. One level higher, if you fail, you fail. Slap a Soul Weaver on the team and get it done. Run it as a two-man. Now, I'm not really going to mention Soul Weavers here because, duh, Soul Weavers are great. Doris is one of the best Soul Weavers for light. Ainos and Blood Moon Haste for dark. Earth, you've got Destina, you got Green Lots for CR pushing. Fire, you've got Acades, Mascot Hazel. Ice is a veritable smorgasbord of Soul Weavers from Elena to Amelia to Angelica to Momo. You should have no problem with Soul Weavers. If you want to do two-man team, if your solo clear fails, slap a Soul Weaver on there and get it done. That's why you always kind of want to leave one or two recruitment slots open, right? Never max out your recruitments. Always have one spot open. That way, if you're in a fight, you just can't quite win, you got room to enlist a Soul Weaver and finish the fight. Okay, for lights, Lionheart Sirmia is especially good on fights where there are counterattacks. Duh. Of course, Landy can solo clear just about everything unless you are very unlucky with her salvos. Tempest Surin on a lifesteal set. Her damage limit, she can solo teams. Blaze Dingo has a defense break on his S2, an immortal on his S3. Every single attack he does self-heals. Blaze Dingo is one of the best solo clear units for light out there. Save your odd, and you just need to be lucky. Just don't get hit, don't get crit. If she gets crit, she dies. You lose one provision, do the fight again. But she can typically solo clear. She self-heals on her S1, even without lifesteal. Little Queen Charlotte is just giga tanky, and with her CR push, you can put her on a healing artifact like Sigurd's Scythe. She should solo clear. Sylvan Sage Vivian solo clears, but you gotta make sure you sandbag her S3 for when things get a little bit hairy. Just soul burn her S1 for AoE hits. God, she hits so damn hard. Especially on lifesteal set, you should have no problem clearing. Mursa on lifesteal set. Just remember to save your soul so you can soul burn her S3. It'll practically be a full heal, and she nukes just about anything with her soul burned S3. Senya and Bossarunka, they are more for two-man comps, but they do have some solo potential if you have their limited artifacts. Combine any of them with a defense breaker or any of them with a soul weaver, and you will be able to clear things that are one or even two levels higher than you as well. For the dark team, Apoc Ravi solo clears most things. Lone Crescent Bologna either on lifesteal, Sigurd's Scythe, or some combination of both. Usually solo clears. Bloodblade Corinne is one of the easiest solo clears out there. Death Dealer Ray surprisingly can control and blow up the enemy surprisingly well. Abyssal Euphine self-heals when she attacks on lifesteal set. And even when she goes into trauma mode, her being able to slam things so hard, you should have no problems clearing. Dark Corvus is one people overlook. He's not the fastest fight in the world, but he gets hit so often that his S3 will almost always be ready, and you just drop his S3. As long as he kills, he'll self-heal all the way back up and be able to go again. And of course, Remnant Violet, basically the same situation to save your odd. Just don't get hit, and he'll solo clear. And it's easier since his buff. He'll be able to solo clear a lot cleaner. For two-man teams, Lone Wolf Peyra giving evasion and swift action should not be underestimated. Bystander Hua Young can nuke people on Sigurd's Scythe. On counter set, she might even solo. And don't count out the dual attack potential of Archdemon Shadow. On the Earth team, Violet is fan-freaking-tastic. Constant counters, constant self-heals, especially on lifesteal. Between using his apple and lifesteal, you'll be able to solo clear with this guy really easily. The newly buffed Charles is going to be a monster here. He should be able to solo a lot of teams, as long as you've brought counters here and there. His extra attack will do nuclear damage. Albedo surprisingly can solo team. She is just that tanky. Now she'll need her artifact 3F in order to do it, but as long as you have that artifact, you'll be good to go. Valencia on her #1 exclusive equipment, the one that heals, and also tossing a healing artifact on her like Golden Rose or even Sigurd's Scythe, and she'll be able to self-heal and solo clear. Bologna on a tankier build with lifesteal set or Bloodstone or both should be able to solo clear. Same with Landy, 100% can solo fights. The Immortal Wukong on a healing artifact especially if you put on lifesteal. Easy, easy, easy. Gala, Flurry, Young Senya, all these are fantastic two-man combo options. Green is probably one of the easiest colors to build teams around. Fire gets a little bit more difficult, but we still have some good solo options like Edward Elric. Fire Ken, he doesn't self-heal, but you can put him on Sigurd's Scythe, and since he's an HP scaler, he self-heals pretty well on Golden Rose as well, and he can take a hit. He is loaded with defense breaks, making his clears even faster. Bomb Model Kana can be put with Bloodstone, has a lot of multi-target attacks. Zealot Carmen Rose's S1 is a self-heal, basically a lifesteal set built into her S1 skill. Ravi, with all of the skills that Ravi has, can solo clear. Charlotte, you can put Charlotte on a lifesteal set, and the nice thing about Charlotte is her 100% crit chance, which helps you out in the early stages of the game before you have maxed out your crit chance. You don't have to worry about being understated on her. She will just work. Janua is one most people probably won't do, but if you put Janua on lifesteal, I'm pretty sure he can solo. He's just kind of an outlier, but he can do it. Afternoon Soak Flan on Bloodstone can solo, but is amazing on a two-man team, just like Tori and Shuri. Shuri on Bloodstone can make a powerful powerhouse two-man team, and Tori hits like a truck with her damage limit. On the ice team, Brieg is very, very easy unit to solo with, and if you put him on lifesteal especially, I mean, you probably don't want to put him on lifesteal, but you know what? His barriers alone should be enough to get the job done. Shu is able to solo her lifesteal on her Foosh skill, along with Sigurd's Scythe or Golden Rose. You could even put her on a lifesteal set if you want, in case you're worried about being terribly unlucky, but she should be very solid in this. Luna, because the game ramps up her damage and her stats so fast, she's got so many bonus stats. It might be a little tougher with her early on, but the later you get in the game, the more powerful Luna should be. I think she will be tanky as hell, hit like a truck. With Sigurd's Scythe, you ought to be able to heal her all the way to the top. A little harder to solo early on, but she can do it later game. Rem is also a little bit tough early game, but as soon as something dies, she will clear the entire enemy squad. Really, really good on a two-man team. And the fight goes on long enough, and she'll be able to get demon mode a second time by round number 2. Again, a little bit dodgy, but she can work. Yuna doesn't seem to do a lot of damage, but especially as her stats start ramping up later in the game, her non-stop AoE slamming, her on Bloodstone, she should be able to clear anything. The AoE damage is crazy. Same with Seaside Bologna, especially on lifesteal build or on a Bloodstone. And Arya. Arya is tricky at early levels because if you're fighting monsters that strip, you want to make sure that Arya doesn't get stripped. But at low levels, you're going to have low ER, so you're going to have to play games, right? You might have to put her on a triple resist set or give her Bastion of Hope. But later on, when you get further down the road, you get to higher levels, levels 5, level 6, and your ER is capped out, Arya can solo practically anything. The AoE dual attacks of Charlotte, the AoE stuns of Dizzy make them perfect for two-man teams, and Fene, well, no kidding. Fene can solo everything, and this is no different, though remember, she will need the stats, so a little easier to use Fene once you get up a few levels, not the easiest right out of the gate. Now, this is by far and away not a comprehensive list. These are not the only lists you need for solo clearing. If you've got some other ideas, drop them in the comment section. Let people know. But this is a good solid list to start with. Remember, any dual attack units, any defense break units, any soul weaver units, any knights can be put in as a secondary unit to solve a problem. If your solo clear isn't working, just put one of those in, combine it, and get it done. That's why you always want to leave a little space in your recruitment roster, just in case you need an extra unit. That way you have a little bit of space so you can draft that last unit, slap them on the team, and get it done. So hopefully this list helps you out. I hope I've answered some of your questions. If you have any other questions, drop in the comment section. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and you guys have a great Ancient Inheritance. Take care.